Welcome to Formosa Dream Chasers.
We're your hosts, Mary Ann
and Ching En.
Please join us as we explore the journeys amazing people take in pursuit of their dreams
and get insights from their experiences.
Let's hit the road
and get started.
Hello, and welcome back to Formosa Dream Chasers with me, your host, Mary Ann Shoko. Last week, we sat down with Michelle Capistrano, who shared her new endeavor, creating a space to empower women with important health knowledge as they reach a significant milestone in their lives. We also heard about the early chapters of her health journey, from growing up with asthma to experiencing unexpected changes in her body as she entered midlife. Changes she wasn't fully prepared for. She opened up about how these moments of confusion and uncertainty led her to realize something bigger, that many women, especially in their mid-40s, are going through the same experience, often without enough information, guidance, or support. Today, in part 2, we pick up where we left off and dive deeper into what came next. Michelle shares more about her journey of discovering perimenopause, what it is, how it shows up, and why it can be so difficult to recognize at first. She also talks about her experience navigating the medical system during that time, and what it was like searching for answers while dealing with symptoms that didn't always come with clear explanations. Now let's get back into the conversation.
I think men get more attention because we have Viagra, we have testosterone replacement therapy, which does not actually have as much stigma compared to
Impact.
hormone replacement therapy. If you are a guy going to a clinic and asking for TRT or testosterone replacement therapy, the doctors would actually tell you how to use it, you know? But here, when you ask for hormone replacement therapy, you will get dismissed because it's not, according to them, it's not safe. But unfortunately, these are the old doctors who have been informed about the wrong information that came out of the World Women's Health Initiative back in 2002, when they actually broadcasted to everyone that hormone replacement therapy causes blood clots and breast cancer. But the problem with that data is that the population was wrong. The women that they included in the study were very old already. Okay, and when you start HRT, it has to be in your perimenopausal years, not when you're already menopause. There is a scientific reason for doing that. They included women who are very old already, like I think in their 60s, mid 60s. So the population size and the population choice was also not the right target. And the type of hormones they used were synthetic. The hormones that are now available for hormone replacement therapy is all bioidentical. So it's relatively safer. It doesn't cause blood clots, and it is similar to what your body is naturally producing. So that's also what I'm taking right now because I really have to address the symptoms that I have because it really affects the quality of my life. 30% of women are going to be like me who have very severe symptoms, which is actually my target. I really want to help these women because they don't get enough help, honestly, because that's how I felt when I was going through all this. I felt alone. And I don't want women to feel like I did when I was going through this. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So basically, you were saying that you were going through all of these different doctors, and then none of them were able to address your health issues. At what point did you realize, though, that there was a lack of conversation when it came to perimenopause?
When the doc, yeah, when the doctor, when the OB/GYN specialist told me to suck it up.
Really?
Yes.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. You have to accept this
What?
and suck it up. How can you tell that to someone who is single, never married, no kids, and you're dependent on your health to perform well at your job, and you just have to suck it up? How can you perform by sucking it up? right? You need help. And I had
Mm-hmm.
to switch my doctor to get someone who is not just trained in OB/GYN, obstetrics and gynecology, but I need someone who is holistically trained, like a functional medicine doctor. And I found one in Singapore. And I am so thankful that there is one such as her who exists in this country. And and this doctor also told me that it's so difficult to be her in Singapore because she gets the worst patients. When she says worst, meaning really like experiencing severe forms of symptoms during perimenopause and menopause because no other doctor in Singapore would have them. They get dismissed by doctors, just like how I got dismissed. So my niche, my target to create this awareness on women is to target the women who are exactly like me because I feel like they need a lot of help. I think they need to be heard. I think a lot of people have to have remove their stigma because when I start talking about my problems, people couldn't believe I'm making such decisions as taking hormone replacement therapy because it's according to them bad for you.
Understood. So we were talking about how you were told literally by this doctor to suck it up. What triggered or what made you decide to look into it further? Was it because of your knowledge in the medical industry, because of your pharmaceutical background? Because a lot of times when, like, as an ordinary person, if the doctor tells you that's it, there's nothing you can do, a lot of times most people would not think of looking further into it. So what made you do more research?
I just know in my gut that there is an answer, like, and at the same time, I went through life figuring out my diseases, not just through Western medicine concepts, I also went through a holistic path. So if traditional medicine, whether it be West or East type of medicine, right? There's always this alternative way to address your health. And I just don't like to accept that there's no other way. I just wanted to find a solution to whatever it is that's ailing me because it's really affecting the quality of my life. So I don't know, maybe I'm solution driven or like I really like to find solutions to my problems in a way where people wouldn't really like pursue anymore just because they received such a diagnosis or like a statement from the doctor. Like if say you got a diagnosis of cancer and you're like stage 1, 2, or 3, and then they would tell you like you have to take chemotherapy and then this is the extent of the side effects that you will get. If it's not at the final stages of it where I need to be really super aggressive in my treatment to at least fight for my life, I would probably
Mm-hmm.
consider other options for wellness, not just the usual route that most patients would probably go through. Because if that route would be more destructive, I would probably consider other pathways to solve my problem. I'm just probably built that way, like solutions driven. Like, what are my options? I want to make informed choices, not just like consulting one doctor. I want to consult more doctors. And when you get to interview the doctor, you know the extent of their practice, right? You know what type of patients they normally see. If most of the patients that they see are like well patients, meaning there are no health problems like what I'm going through, they're probably not the right doctors anyway. So you might want to consult someone whose practice complements, I mean, sort of like fits your profile as a patient. So I might not see a standard OB/GYN. I might need to see a menopause specialist whose only practice involves patients going through menopause. So I sort of like,
Review, you evaluate.
yeah, I niched down the doctors. Like I really like more like a sniper type of approach. Find the right doctor to address my issue. So I mean, I think that's probably one good way to give advice to how patients should go through their healthcare journey. Like not accept one doctor's advice. They have to explore more. Might take a while, but once you find the right answers, it's gonna be life changing.
Right. And that actually makes sense. I want to ask you What ultimately pushed you from noticing this gap in knowledge when it came to perimenopause and menopause, and then making that jump to actually creating content and speaking about it? Because, some people, it's easy to just say, okay, I fixed my problem and that's it, and you don't do anything more. What made you decide to take a step further?
I just don't like other women to experience what I've experienced and still experiencing, by the way. I was just with a couple of friends a few weeks ago and we were having dinner and I was talking about this experience of mine. And these are women, by the way, and yet the reaction that I get was like, although I'm sure they didn't intend to make me feel bad or anything or make me feel a certain way, but the way they conveyed their disbelief and their confusion about all this information about perimenopause and menopause is that they're sort of questioning my ability to judge the rightness of my decision to go for HRT, because in their eyes they couldn't see HRT as a viable solution because what they know is outdated information. And that is the reason why there is still a stigma for HRT among women. And the reason why the stigma still exists because 70% of women probably don't experience severe symptoms. 30% do. And the 30% don't talk about it. They don't get the right treatment. And, most of them are not medically trained, sad to say. So they don't know how to advocate for themselves when they see the doctor. And I think the only way women would know how to advocate for themselves is if someone were to speak up, maybe using a platform that would get the word out that it's okay to advocate for yourself. It's okay to tell the doctor that this is not enough. I need more help. Is this a possibility for me? Is this even an option for me to consider with my plethora of symptoms and maybe my other health concerns, my other metabolic problems that I may be experiencing? Because women who are in their perimenopause years may also be diabetic. They may also have hypertension. They may also have other chronic diseases that they need to highlight to the doctor aside from experiencing perimenopause symptoms. So, the doctor has to look at them as a whole, not just them as a cardio patient or them as a diabetic patient or them as a perimenopausal patient. They have to look at them as a whole, look at all their symptoms, all the chronic disease, and advise accordingly whether HRT is right for them. Or if not, if they're not a good candidate for it, at least give them solutions like maybe the herbal approach like black cohosh or maybe ashwagandha or maybe maca root powder. Phytoestrogens could probably offer some relief from the symptoms. And also, it would be good if women know that if they don't take HRT, it's such a lost opportunity for them because HRT actually preserves bone, you know? So women who don't actually have enough hormones or estrogen for in their body, in their system, and they live long, there is a good chance, probably not 100%, but there is a good chance that they might experience some type of bone loss as they get older. So HRT or estrogen actually helps prevent such things from happening. So they need to make an informed choice about what type of regimen they need to be on while they are experiencing this or as they enter this phase of life. So that's the only thing. I'm not forcing them to take HRT if they don't want to, but they have to make an informed choice.
Okay. You keep on mentioning how 30% of women go through extreme symptoms of perimenopause. Where did you get this figure? How do you know it's 30?
Well, that's the numbers that I encountered whenever I do reading on perimenopause. That number may have changed because that number may be obsolete. But the point here is majority of women don't experience severe symptoms. They experience symptoms but not severe. But those that do are the minority. And these are the women that are not that don't get enough attention. They don't get the enough help, and they suffer silently because they think sucking it up is actually the only solution. And that is very sad to me because I don't think that is the solution, because that was not the solution for me.
Okay,
Yeah.
understood.
Yeah.
Talking about women, there's a lot of pressure, I think, around aging for us.
Yeah.
And since we're talking about aging and health issues such as perimenopause and the loss of hormones, so what have you noticed about, let's say, cultural expectations or upbringing and how these play a role when it comes to how women approach midlife, health, or independence?
Hmm. That's a good question.
I think you and I have touched on this topic in different conversations. And I think it's interesting that, both of us growing up in Asia, there's a different cultural context as well. And now that you're living in Singapore, where you have a diversity of cultures, I'm wondering what your perspective is on this specific topic.
Okay, I want to point out something first before I answer that question.
Sure.
Women are living longer right now. I think the statistics is that women are living much longer than men. That wasn't the case 100 years ago, but because of how our quality of life has improved over time, human beings right now have the capacity to live until 100. Okay. There are only a few organisms on Earth that experience menopause. I think us, human beings, and only like a species of whale. Okay. Most organisms on Earth, once the female species hit perimenopause, they die. They die. But for women,
Mm.
for human beings, we continue to live on even after our reproductive age. Okay. And there is a grandmother theory for that. Okay. The grandmother theory is that the reason why human beings survived and didn't go into extinction is because grandmothers or grandparents, while the parents of the children are able to hunt and gather food and like explore how they can get resources and bring them back to nurture the children, the grandparents would actually take care of the children while they are away. And because of that family dynamic or that sense of community that the grandmother role has to be present for the next generation to survive, that's how we thrive as a species. Yeah. And
Hmm.
as our quality of life got better over time, we are capable of living up to 100 right now, right? So the dynamics that dictate what we need to expect out of women as we get older, it also has to change because the way we live now is changing. We can't expect women to just live life the way we did like 50 years ago, because the demands now to survive in this world with AI, it's so different. As a Gen X, I can say that I have to continue to upskill myself to be able to thrive and survive and not to be obsolete in this world of AI. And here's the question: how am I going to do that if my quality of life is suffering because of all these symptoms? How am I going to have a comfortable transition into menopause and into my elderly years with the possibility of living up to 100 if my quality of life now is suffering? Shouldn't there be a call to action in the medical field to provide women with some type of solution, just like how they provided Viagra to men, right?
Thanks for being here with me on Formosa Dream Chasers. Please join me again next week as we continue our chat with Michelle. This is Marianne Shaka signing off. Bye.
This is Ching and Cho.
And Marianne Shaka.
See you guys next week. Bye.